turns here, so I'll be very cautious since I'm on someone else's motorcycle. But not having a clutch feels really bizarre. It feels like I should do something right now. By the double wishbone suspension in the front. It feels sporty, but a heavy sporty. Very relaxed and comfortable. I don't really feel a lot of the road. And on a touring bike, I think that might actually be promising because you wouldn't be beat up after a long ride. But for a quick jolt around it, it probably wouldn't be the most invigorating. I always like to point out that I'm really accustomed to riding my Indian Springfield. It's a similar weight motorcycle than this one. This one feels like I'm in a bit more of a neutral stance than the Springfield, and I don't want to be biased just simply because I'm more accustomed to the Springfield, so I'm holding any real judgment. If I chose to buy this bike, it would be because I want something different than what I already have, so being different isn't a bad thing. Now, I also noticed that the mirrors are really stable. I like that. They're not adjusted well for me. Alright, let's deep dive into this thing. Yeah, there's a corner and no scraping pegs. I like the analog speedometer. It identifies the gear, although that hardly matters. It's going to switch through it. This 23 DCT Goldwing has an airbag, which is, I don't know of another bike that has an airbag. They may exist, but that's a pretty interesting concept. One downside that I do see just with a walk around on this bike is that for a tour, the panniers seem quite small, cramped. The engine's plenty big. You could haul a trailer, or since it has a top bag, I guess I could get some items in there, but picture myself taking a cross-country trip, and I definitely struggle with getting it on here unless I'm packing extraordinarily light. No late fall or early winter trips. With the heavy clothes, I think that would be a little bit much unless you're stacking it really high on the trunk. The engine is really smooth and easy, especially when going at, we're going about 35 miles an hour right now. Like an easy Sunday drive. That's not exactly the way I intended to take this road, but what choice do I have? A very small thing that I notice is the handlebars seem really thin from what I'm accustomed to. I think I'd probably want to immediately upgrade those to a little bit larger grip. I found myself with nothing to do on my left side here. And so what do you do but just grab the bar, and it's a little wimpy. There's not a whole lot there to grab a hold of. Comes to a nice easy stop. It's nothing to really balance. I don't feel the weight when I'm standing here. What's also cool about this bike is that it has a walking mode, which I think is pretty handy on a big bike. Forward and reverse. I would like to have that on my other bike. I don't know how often I'd use it, but you'd have to use a little less parking strategy, I suppose. Park in maybe an opportune spot where you wouldn't be able to otherwise. like the windshield. It's all the way up, and at 6.3, it's still going over my head. If I lower it even 4 inches, I'm definitely feeling the wind even at that point. I'm not as fond of the way that they hold this windshield in here. Visually aware of it. Now, I'm really aware, because I'm so new to the DCT, that I'm not holding the clutch, and so when I come to a stop, it really feels awkward. You know, that's something you get accustomed to when you have the bike. This suspension right up here is really interesting to watch move. This double wishbone front suspension. You don't really feel much in the front end. As I said before, it's probably a good thing for a tour bike. It eats up all that road junk, potholes and whatever. Go over here and do a little bit of a walk around. We're in neutral. Good. 2023 Honda Goldwing Tour. Very good looking bike. I really like the passing lights down there. The LEDs in the front are sharp. I like the turn signals. The bags are a little bit smaller, and I know they've made some efforts to make it a little bit smaller, but there's a lot of room here in the back that you have to really tuck things in there. And I'm not sure what the idea here is with this rubber, but I guess it'll make itself known later. Heated seats. The passenger floorboard's pretty cool. I don't do any two-up riding really, but I would want to have a backrest for the driver. And I do like the trunk. That's pretty slick. I like having the space. Don't love the way it looks. In my point of view, it's sporty all the way through, and then it gets to the box. And that's really true of a lot of motorcycles, honestly. Tour bikes, it kind of doesn't do that perfectly. I'd really love to see Honda create a version where this is quick release. I think that would earn them a lot of fans, and they would be able to eliminate the Goldwing B. But that is a sharp motorcycle. I really like it. Kind of surprised that they haven't done a floorboard versus just the peg, but I didn't find myself thinking about that when I was on the bike. Sharp looking two-tone here in the engine. Don't know what they've got going on here for the brakes, but they're certainly adequate. But it's a sharp bike. That's a pretty significant back tire as well. I guess you'd need that. This has the emergency brake as well, right here. I would assume because it has to be in. Well, DCT, I'm a little confused about when to apply that. If I would assume it has a hill assist, and if in neutral, I presume you have to simply engage that. Let's get back to the dealership. I'm not going to be able to go into any of these because, quite frankly, I'm not that versed on it myself. I know it has I could put it in manual and just simply walk back, walk forward. That's a nice feature. But really, for my purposes here today, I don't really need to do that. So, kick this back on. That's a pretty easy way to do it. What else can I talk about? Go ahead and hit home, and it shows the audio source, vehicle setting, etc. I can connect my phone, and it has all the stuff that my phone would typically have in it, connected right to the bike. Not much to hate there. Oh, let's put it in drive. She flows right along. Yeah, the front brakes grab much harder when needed. And I know this bike, it actually grabs the back brake as well a little bit. When you grab the front brake, it does so automatically. Without holding the clutch, I can give the motorcycle wave that much easier. You don't have to even concern yourself. Most have to think about that. You either nod or you wave. If you hold the clutch, you have to nod, right? For those of us who do such things. Just realized that when that gentleman passed. Alright, got free clear space now. Let's go. Well, it tears up the gears. I can hear it, but I can't feel it. I don't want to really work it too hard. This bike hasn't worked in. Hey, buddy. Hasn't done its 400 or 500 or 600 miles, whatever the break-in period is. Nothing I've learned this morning would prevent me from buying this bike. It just feels different. That's not a bad thing. I still feel very weird about not using this clutch. Nothing to do with my left foot or left hand. Very strange. I don't really know what the stated mile per gallon is on this bike. I know it'll take 87 octane, which is cost savings, no question about it. Not that the people that buy this motorcycle are looking for that first and foremost, but I think where that comes into play more is if you're on a tour and you're in a place where you can't get premium gas easily, that would prove pretty helpful. You know, something else I noticed as I'm sitting here is that I do not feel the engine heat at this moment. It says air temperature is 80 degrees. It actually is a little bit hotter than that, I think. But I do not feel it. The engine is way low on this bike, and so all the engine heat is kind of being dissipated before it reaches me. So would that stay consistent at, you know, after 2 or 3 hours on a ride? I don't know, but right now that is significant to me because I ride a big V-twin, air-cooled, and boy, I can feel it. But if I'm looking for that type of ride, that kind of sound, sitting on an engine, you know, V-twin's kind of the way to go. But if I'm looking for smooth and easy and comfortable, 2023 Honda Goldwing Tour. Pretty sweet ride. I'm gonna go in and talk to him.